following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesday. We appreciate you all for joining us here on this Tuesday, or for checking out the video later in the week. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. And you know what, Kelsey, we're in the interesting part of the year where we are in between the championship games and the Super Bowl week. So we won't really be having NFL tier this time for the first time in a while, since there's not really anything to tier for the NFL this week. So we're going to dip into the world of basketball and see if we can ruffle a few feathers, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, if you will.
Yeah, it's this is one of my favorite subjects we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, it is weird though. I mean, always between the 2 weeks between championship game Sunday and Super Bowl Sunday, the actual championship Sunday. So it is always strange. Especially now that the Pro Bowl has lost a little bit of its chutzpah, if you will. But yeah. So no, this is gonna be a fun one. I enjoyed this topic so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody know what it is. We are gonna do a ranking of NBA fan bases, and a tiering, I should say, of NBA fan bases. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Absolutely. And those of you who didn't check it out, we did an NFL fans one that we did before the NFL season. Go check that one out as well, too. But without further ado, we're going to go and get right into it. We're going to share our screen. I'm going to go from the top to the bottom this time. At the top, the GOATs, Supersonic fans, RIP, you deserve better. You deserve a team right now. That, as people who we lived in the Pacific Northwest, they're the best, hands down. A-tier fans, what should be the Supersonics, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Portland Trailblazers, through and through, and those are the only pro teams they really have in their area for the most part, so they stick to it. Respect the pain they felt. We got the Cavaliers, the Pistons, the Magic, the Pacers, the Pelicans, the Washington Wizards, and Kelsey's Kings. He can tell you firsthand the amount of pain they've been through. Respect to those who stood through it. Mostly not bad. Like they're not too bad overall. Just sometimes they go up and down. The Bucks, the Nuggets, the Bulls, the Timberwolves, the Hornets, the Sixers, and the Raptors. Most of the time they're fine. Sometimes in their up years, or you'll find like one or two people that are insufferable that almost ruin it for everybody else. But for the most part, they're not too bad. Some rough spots, but not awful. These ones have a few more, a little bit closer. Mavericks, Nets, Hawks, Rockets, Suns, and Spurs. Fair weather fans, we got the Grizzlies, the Clippers, and Miami. It's been 10 years, but we still remember you all leaving in that Game 6 of the NBA Finals. We still remember the hordes of you walking out and saying, oh, snap, oh, no, and trying to turn around and get into a locked door. Pretty bad. Golden State, you know why. When you're a dynasty, you get put in. So the Chiefs are in the same category, too. Whether you went through a lot of pain, but you've been so spoiled the last decade, you go in here. It's mandatory. The Jazz, do we need to explain more, honestly? Like, do we really explain more when it comes to Jazz? Then the Knicks, the only reason you're in this category is because every damn offseason we have to hear about somebody getting traded there or getting sent there because they want to live in New York or a free agency. Like, it's not even really the fans' fault, but it's a handful of them that think every superstar player is going there 365 days a year when it almost never happens. And then, to be honest, we already know who the bottom two are, the Lakers and the Celtics. Kelsey, your turn. I don't need to explain this.
Yeah. Let me just say about the bottom two. I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up. But yeah, the bottom two just cracks me up every time because people pretend to think that these are some of the best fan bases. And I'm sure you don't know the history of these fan bases, period, especially the Celtics history. Let's not talk about the olden days of any player of color going in there, let alone a player on your own team of color. God forbid the man doesn't score 60. So, anyways, the Lakers by themselves, just stop it. You guys are spoiled rotten. Maybe a time before the buses were alive, but not now. Lakers fans suck. Pretty bad. I mean, the Warriors, if you had asked me 5, maybe even 6 years ago, I'd be like, they're not so bad. Yeah, I take it all back. You guys.
Pre-dynasty, fine, but the dynasty cranked it all up to 11.
Yeah, just now it's like, I think it's a lot like we had with the 90s Bulls, where it's just so frustrating to deal with them. You're tired of hearing them. You mentioned the Chiefs. It's the same thing. You're just like, come on, guys. Historically, a poverty franchise that just so happens to be on a fantastic last, I guess you can almost say 15 years now in comparison. So, yeah, I mean, who would have thought it would have started with the drafting Andrew Bogut? But anyways, do you guys even know who that is if you're a Warriors fan? That's why you're in the pretty bad category. The New York Knicks. They're the Texas Longhorns fans of NBA. Every year, the Knicks are back. This is the Knicks year. The Knicks are going to take it all the way. It's coming back to the Garden. No. No. Stop it. Give me a consistent season back to back. You guys were in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Last year.
This is your best opportunity 2 years ago. Last year, I'm not going to count.
Hmm.
But you guys are best known for spitting on a player during that playoff series. Like, you weren't known for the team on the court. You were known for the spitting on the player while he's trying to inbound the ball. Anyways, I digress. Jazz fans, as a person who used to live in Utah, used to go and visit Jazz fans, they are rambunctious, which is great for our team. Unfortunately, this is just like Boston. I mean, nobody enjoys going into Utah as an opposing fan because they will say some of the most obnoxious things that they don't understand what they're saying and why it's a problem. And that's what the problem is with Jazz fans. There's a team I maybe want to add down here, but for right now, I'm going to say, okay, right where it's at. Fair weather fans, Heat, they don't even show up to games on time. They leave early. Yeah, nothing left to say there. The Clippers, you're the little brother to a Lakers fan. I'm sorry, or little sister to a Lakers fan, or the cousin to a Lakers fan. Are you true fans? We'll see. Steve Ballmer, true fan. Anybody else? Memphis, it's not the grindhouse anymore. You're trying to get it back there. There are some diehards there. Unfortunately, the rest of the stands is a lot of people that are just waiting for the fun to happen on Beale Street. So they're like, all right, we're going to go to a game. By the time we get out, we can go to Beale Street and have a great night. Ticket prices reflect that. Same rough spots, but not awful, or some rough spots, but not awful. I don't hate Mavs fans. Definitely can't hate on Nets fans anymore. Nothing against them. They're New Jersey people, so they already have enough working against them.
It's a Jersey thing.
Do what?
It's a Jersey thing.
Anyways, the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, this one I might want to move down to fair weather fans, just because outside of the playoffs, nobody in Atlanta really cares. I'm sure we can attest with some of our friends, family who have been to Atlanta Hawks games, maybe have had season tickets for Hawks games, can talk about how filled the stands were at the time they were playing. The Atlanta Dream sell more tickets on average than the Atlanta Hawks, depending on the season. So yeah, it's not the days of old for Atlanta. And honestly, if you ever see any Hawks gear, 9 times out of 10, that person is just using it for the fashion sense, more so than the fact they're a fan of the Hawks. Even in Atlanta, it's still the same way because it's repping the A. That's why they're there. The Rockets fans, yeah, I got nothing for you. You are what you are. I'm sorry, Hector. I know he used to work with the Rockets back in the day. I know he's a Rockets fan. Look, there's some struggles there. It's not Yao Ming days, and even then, Tracy McGrady, you weren't loved. Like Steve Francis, like you guys, the fans were never really bad, but they were never really like okay. Charles Barkley, like he even talked about the fans in Houston just being like, yeah, they're there. Cool. When we're good, we're good. When we're bad, well, they let us know.
To the Astros games.
Yeah, exactly. The Suns. This one I also kind of want to move down to fair weather fans or even pretty bad. This is one like I look at and how many fights have there been at Suns games recently over the last 3 years?
Recently, the one that everyone knows about obnoxiously, and that's the only reason they're not higher is because I think Steve Nash and Amar Stoudemire days, they were fine. Before that, they were fine. I almost wanted to put them in mostly not bad, but like you mentioned, the couple recent years of Suns and forward and stuff is what, you know what, we're going to compromise. We're going to drop them, the fair weather fans. They get shafted just because I'm still mad about that.
Well, and also when they're not good, their fans don't show up. There's better things to do in Phoenix area than to go to a Suns game when they're not good. People would rather go watch Arizona Wild hockey than Arizona Coyotes Wild hockey rather than
they're just going there because there's AC in that joint so they can get out of that blazing hot sun. That's the only reason they're going to those games now.
That's fair. Spurs fans, I have nothing against Spurs fans. They're the classic fans. They're kind of like I would say the Cardinals fans of the NBA, except for without the obnoxious grouping. Like there's a couple of them, but overall the Spurs aren't bad. Spurs fans, I don't have to deal with them regularly, so that's really why I don't care. And again, kind of like the Hawks, most of the time you see people wearing Spurs gear, it's not because they're a fan. It's because they like the black and silver, or they love the throwback logo with the white and the, pastel red and pastel orange and pastel greens. Like, and nobody really wears Spurs gear because they're a fan nowadays. We're not talking Tim Duncan, David Robinson days anymore. So, yeah. Mostly not bad. I've never had a problem with the Bucks, man. Plain and simple. I'm okay with this. I'm gonna skip the Nuggets for now. Moving on to the Bulls. It's not the 90s anymore. Bulls fans are back to being, man, I wish we could be better fans. They're just like all other Chicago fans. They hope, they wish, but they're realistic, and I'm not against that. They're not like the Knicks fans who are constantly talking about it's our year, it's our year. No, the Bulls are like, maybe we might win a couple games that we shouldn't.
Someone make up for the Bears for us. Somebody.
Exactly. Minnesota, I'm cool with them here too.
They can go up or down. They can go up for sure.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm really okay with them. That you can honestly say respect that the pain they've been through. They've been through some painful seasons. I'm sorry you had to watch Cat all these years. I do apologize.
You have to watch Rudy Gobert these years.
Yeah, you especially had to watch Rudy Gobert. So I mean, really, this is one I might move up, particularly to respect the pain they've been through. I feel like they've been through a lot. They can be moved up, but I mean, if we keep them here, we keep them here. But truthfully, I don't hate them. So
they have some leeway.
Yeah. The Hornets fans,
that's why they're here. Jared is the reason they're here. If you take away Jared, they're higher.
That's fair. Also, everybody who says, never mind. No, we need to keep him here. All the people that say Anthony Edwards is a top 10 player, shut up.
Moving on now. We don't have that. That's a whole nother long video in itself. But moving on now.
Yeah. The Hornets. Again, I don't really see them often. And again, most of the time you see somebody wearing Hornets gear, it's because they're wearing grape 5s. It just kind of matches the color scheme. So, yeah, I mean, whether it be the black grapes or the white grapes, it doesn't matter. They're the same color scheme. Or the Hornets 6s. Like, you're wearing J's if you're wearing Hornets gear, and it's not because you're a Hornets fan. Plain and simple. The 76ers. There were a couple moments here where I was like, I don't know about that. The trust the process, 2 years, so frustrating. But the 90s, early 2000s Sixers, I'm cool with. They overwhelmed the current Sixers fans by a large margin, so I'm cool with them. Used to play with the Sixers back in the day on all the 2Ks. I guess it was NBA Live back in the day. It was the one for the fun one. But yeah, so I mean, I definitely don't mind the Sixers here. Raptors, outside of Drake, I have zero problem with any Raptors fan. And even Drake. I don't have a problem with Drake watching basketball unless he's watching an all-star game and standing up and taking away the greatness of one of the greatest picture opportunities we've ever seen. And showing off that jacket. Gosh, that still frustrates the hell out of me. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I don't hate the Raptors. Coolest, one of the cooler color schemes. So, I mean, again, a lot of times you see Raptors gear, you're looking at fashion style. Respect the pain they've been through. I'm just going to start and finish with the Kings here. I don't care. It's been painful. Anybody who's a fan of any one of these teams listed here understands. There's not a single team up here that I have a problem with any of their fans because they don't really exist. You don't know about them because they don't talk shit. They're just like, please, dear God, help. Give us a playoff win. One win or a series win is all we want. And, it's funny because you look at these teams and oftentimes trades are done between these same teams, which is why they always stay in the same category for the fanship. They don't really grow. They don't really become annoying because they're all working with the same players for most of it. So irony there.
The Cavs were close. Like they could have gone up or down, but considering what they went through with LeBron coming back, getting the title, leaving the 4 championship losses, I think they fit here too. Like I don't want to put them up a tier because even during that stretch, there was a little bit of, but at the same time, they can't put them down. So I think they're kind of the anomaly in this row too. But yeah
12 years of their existence aside, so the LeBron years of their existence aside, I am more than okay with Cavs fans being here because they've been through a lot of pain. And then you add in the LeBron leaving situation, then there's like even more pain. I definitely don't hate this one.
And the finals losses too. Like you got the win, that was glorious. Cleveland, this is for you, wonderful. But those losses hurt too.
And don't worry, I didn't forget about the Nuggets. I'll come back to that one last. A-tier fans, I'm cool with this. I don't hate them at all. I kind of root for them. I would never want to take a team away from the Thunder. I would never want to take a team away from the Trailblazers fans. Those two cities are rabid for their teams. They pack the stadiums, whether they are good or bad, whether they have a superstar or not. They just want to root for their teams because they love watching their teams play. With that in mind, the GOATs, RIP Sonics. I bought Sonics gear when the Kings were going to be sold to the Sonics franchise ownership group. I was ready to become a Sonics fan. I remember the days of playing the old NBA dunk games where you had the Sonics as an opportunity to play. It was Gary Payton and Sean Kemp every time. Forget anybody else. Occasionally, Dietrich Shrimp if I really wanted to switch it up. But those two teams are fantastic. Think about some of the players that have come through there. They have had the fans have had a lot of players to root for over the years. And when they haven't had the Sonics, I'm going to dig into WNBA right now. The Seattle Storm fan base is fantastic. They are absolutely outstanding. They're rabid for other sports like football, like soccer, like hockey. We've seen what they've done with the Kraken since they got there. So sports fans in Seattle deserve a basketball team. They deserve the Major Four franchises. The Mariners, I mean, gosh, what they did with that fan base has been through a lot too. It's not just the Sonics, the entire Seattle fan base. They've been through a lot, but at the same time, they deserve a team. I'm okay with them being the GOATs because really, yeah, RIP. I'd also maybe, this one we don't have listed because this is kind of a throwback to a throwback. The Vancouver Grizzlies fans, if I'm going to put them in this ranking, it's not going to be GOATs. It would be in an RIP category, but that would be down in the fair weather fans. So ironic that the current Grizzlies would match up with the Vancouver Grizzlies back in the day. Anyways, I guess. Okay, so I got to go back to the Nuggets. I am 50-50 on my love or hatred of the Nuggets fans. Do I like the players? Yes. Have I historically liked a lot of the players? Yes. Do I like the fans? No. They are Jazz fans, but at 5,280 feet in the air. And boy, do they let you know they can scream at 5,289 feet in the air when they're, just above courtside. God forbid you talk about Carmelo to any one of these guys. The guy who helped your franchise not be a poverty franchise for, 6 years, 7 years? Like, how dare you disrespect that man like that? George Karl is... the man has been through so much hate from being a Nuggets coach. I don't get it. I don't understand it anymore. I'm going to say the Nuggets don't deserve mostly not bad. And it's because they're so outspoken. There are Nuggets fans everywhere, and they are always in front of cameras, in front of mics. And I swear, there's no bigger fan base outside of the Lakers or the Celtics that I just look at, and I am just so frustrated by. I'm putting them in pretty bad. These fans are awful. They don't like the current players when they're losing. They don't like former players because they quote unquote betrayed the team. Not that, the team was doing anything to keep the player or anything like that. They fail to recognize situational awareness at any point in time. The fact that their franchise owners are not good, but they swear up and down they're God's gift to Green Earth. No, stop it. Nuggets fans need a reality check. Yes, you have a great team, but you are not a great fan base. Like a poverty franchise with a great team is what I see with that.
That's a tough one because I think for the most part too, I think before the recent era of Nuggets fans have been absolutely terrible, like you mentioned. I'm looking back even in the older era, I didn't hate them as much. They didn't seem that they did. Here's what we'll do: a compromise. We'll move them down here. We're gonna move the Cavs fans up to 8 here, though. We're gonna keep this basically the road of pain. It's what this is gonna be.
Well, I mean, Cavs fans are pretty pain, or have been in a lot of pain in their lifetime.
They've been in quite a few playoffs in their recent year too. So we're gonna bump them up if we're gonna pull them down. So we'll put them right here. We're gonna pull one up to
their Rocky Mountain neighbors. That's where they belong. It's just
no wonder there's not so many teams on the West Coast besides California anymore. That giant gaping hole in the middle is because of two teams in the middle.
They suck. Their fan bases suck. And I don't mean that like in a mean way. I mean that from an experienced way. I've been experiencing fans in those two fan bases since 1997. And they are all awful. Like they are the same thing, except for one's at 5,280 feet in the air and the other's a Mormon state. And there's nothing wrong with Mormons. Let me be very clear. But I mean, geez, when you just rub it in the face of every single person that walks in there that they're not Mormon and they can't watch the basketball team in the same way you can as a Mormon, like, stop it. No, there's a religious aspect to the Jazz, and then there's a factor 5,280 feet in the air for the Nuggets. I just can't stand either one.
What we do know, though, is Not everyone's going to be happy with this list, so let us know down below which ones you like, which ones you would move, what ones you would change, and where you think all these teams overall fit. So we appreciate you for tuning in on this Tier Tuesday. Be sure to check out the live show Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, we will see you all again next time.